Is Miami quietly orchestrating the most calculated long-term gamble in NFL history? And could Arch Manning's college decision be the key that unlocks their master plan to replace Tua Tagovailoa? The whispers around South Beach are getting louder, and what we're hearing should send shockwaves through the entire Dolphins organization. While most fans are focused on the immediate future of this franchise, there's mounting evidence that Miami's front office is playing a much deeper game, one that involves potentially tanking not this season, but next season, all in pursuit of the most coveted quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. Let's talk about what's really happening here, because the timing of everything surrounding Arch Manning's college decision isn't just coincidental. It's absolutely perfect for a Dolphins organization that might be preparing for life after Tua Tagovailoa. And the most fascinating part? Manning's grandfather just handed Miami the blueprint for how this could all unfold. When Archie Manning made it clear that his grandson would be staying at Texas through the 2026 season, he unknowingly gave the Dolphins exactly what they needed to hear. Because here's the reality that nobody wants to admit. Miami isn't going to be bad enough in 2025 to draft Manning if he declares early. They've got too much offensive firepower, too solid a defensive line, and frankly, too much talent to completely bottom out this year. But 2026? That's a completely different story, and it's where this plot gets absolutely fascinating. Think about the landscape Miami will be facing after the season ends. Tyreek Hill will likely be gone, whether through trade or simply not being re-signed. Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips could both be casualties of salary cap management. Suddenly, you're looking at a team that could realistically find itself competing for the worst record in the NFL, which will put them in prime position to select Manning with the first overall pick in 2027. This isn't just speculation. It's strategic roster construction disguised as natural roster turnover. The Dolphins appear to be positioning themselves for what could be the most important draft selection in franchise history, and Manning's decision to stay in college for an extra year just made their path significantly clearer. The Manning family's history of controlling draft destinations adds another layer of intrigue to this entire situation. Remember what happened with Eli Manning and the Chargers? The family made it crystal clear that Eli wouldn't play in San Diego, forcing a trade that sent him to the Giants. Phillip Rivers went to the Chargers in return, and both quarterbacks ended up having Hall of Fame careers with their respective teams. Now imagine that same level of control being exercised with Arch Manning. If a team the Manning family doesn't approve of ends up with the first overall pick in 2027, they could easily force their preferred destination through similar tactics. And here's where Miami's advantage becomes apparent. South Beach is exactly the kind of destination that appeals to high-profile players and their families. The weather, the market size, the lifestyle, the lack of state income tax. These are all factors that make Miami an attractive landing spot for a generational talent like Manning. Add in the fact that the Dolphins have shown they're willing to build around their quarterback with weapons like Hill and Jalen Waddle, and you have a franchise that Manning might actually want to join. But let's address the elephant in the room. What does this mean for Tua Tagovailoa? The reality is that Miami's commitment to Tua might be more conditional than anyone realizes. His injury history, while improved recently, still represents a significant risk factor. His contract situation provides the team with flexibility. And most importantly, his performance ceiling might not be high enough to carry this franchise to a Super Bowl. If the Dolphins are indeed planning for a post-Tua future, then everything they're doing right now makes perfect sense. They're not necessarily giving up on 2025, but they're not mortgaging their future for a championship run either. They're playing the long game, positioning themselves to potentially land the most important player in franchise history. The genius of this potential strategy is that it gives Miami multiple paths to success. If Tua somehow elevates his game to an elite level and leads the team to playoff success, great. They can build around him long term. If he continues to be merely good but not great, they have their exit strategy already in place with Manning waiting in the wings. There's also the Quinn Ewers angle that adds another dimension to this story. The current Texas backup could end up being Miami's bridge quarterback in 2026 if they decide to move on from Tua early. Ewers is legitimate NFL talent and could provide a stopgap solution while the team positions itself for Manning in 2027. What makes this scenario even more plausible is the natural roster turnover that's already happening. The Dolphins don't have to actively tank. They can simply allow the roster to age out and thin out naturally while maintaining the appearance to try and compete. It's tanking with plausible deniability. The financial implications are staggering too. By potentially moving on from expensive veterans like Hill, Chubb, and Phillips, Miami would free up massive amounts of salary cap space that could be redirected toward building around a rookie quarterback contract. It's the same strategy that teams like the Chiefs used to build their championship foundation around Patrick Mahomes. Manning's decision to stay in college doesn't just benefit Miami. It benefits Manning too. He gets another year to develop, another year to showcase his skills, and most importantly, another year for NFL rosters to reshape themselves. By 2027, he'll have maximum leverage to influence where he ends up playing. The more you examine the situation, the more it looks like a perfectly orchestrated plan that benefits everyone involved. Miami gets their franchise quarterback, Manning gets to choose his destination, and the NFL gets one of the most compelling draft storylines in recent memory. Whether this is all coincidental or carefully planned remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The Dolphins' future might be brighter than anyone realizes, and it all hinges on a Manning family decision that just fell perfectly into their lap. What do you think about this potential long-term strategy? Is Miami smart to position themselves for Manning, or should they be focusing on maximizing their current roster? Drop your thoughts in the comments and smash that like button if you think the Dolphins might be playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.